Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. We welcome all devotees, including devotees from other batches as well. So from today, devotees will be doing a bigger presentation according to the topics that I have on the screen that they have chosen. The earlier presentations that you all have done was at a high level, and the audience was devotees who know the subject matter. Now, these bigger presentations are for neophytes. That a neophyte, a brand new person, a brand new devotee has come to the temple for the first time and is listening to your this presentation. So the neophyte, although has no clue about scriptures, he should be able to follow what you are talking about. Therefore, these bigger presentations should be well structured. The goal of these bigger presentations is to engage devotees in reading something from your presentation, or you have a quiz or some other creative way. You have to engage the devotees. So on week 1, so today is our week 1, the presenter for week 1, which is Pragya today, and the presenter for week 2, which is Chandran Prabhu, both should be ready on week 1. And the same will follow for subsequent weeks. That just in case for week 1, say today for whatever reason Pragya was not able to present, then the devotee from the next week should be able to present his subject matter a week ahead. So the presenter is doing the presentation. The rest of the devotees should come prepared with the topic beforehand, and all devotees attending, as well as all those who are listening to the recording, should have either a striking point or some inquiry or both. Now, all presenters obviously will have a lot of anxiety. This is actually spiritual anxiety. This is actually Srila Prabhupada's mercy, that in that anxiety you are remembering Krishna more and more and more. So because of the anxiety also, plus to know the Vedic subject matter to be able to present, so start your presentation as usual with invocation prayers, seeking blessings and permissions. And this way, all Vedic knowledge will be revealed. Vedic knowledge is not possible by academic study. So these presentations are your last presentations. So try to do as best of an effort and try to please Srila Prabhupada, try to please your spiritual master, try to please Sri Sri Radha Krishna. So when you are doing these presentations, visualize that you are standing in Krishna's darbar in Goloka Vrindavan, where there are many personalities present, like Lord Balram, Mother Yashoda, Nand Maharaj, so many other devotees. And you are trying to present, you are trying to glorify Krishna's message. So have that in a very passionate manner, passionate for a spiritual topic, present in that way, with with great rigor, that you are so convinced on the subject matter that you are presenting that you should be able to convince others also for the subject matter. So today, Pragya is going to present, as we have, as you can see on the screen, Pragya is going to present on Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, verses 54 to 72. Pragya, it's up to you. I will stop sharing and you can share your screen.
जी प्रभु जी, हरे कृष्ण। प्रभु जी, is it visible?
Yeah, you can start from the start. You can start. Yeah, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I seek permission from you all, from my Path Pradeshak Guru, from Srila Prabhupada and all Gurus in the disciplic succession, and from Sri Sri Radha Krishna to talk about the qualities of a Sthit-prajna, or a person whose conscience is merged into transcendence. Please forgive me for my shortcomings. So we have organized our presentation to first discuss the context. Next, we will talk about the questions asked by Arjun in the battlefield. Answers given by Sri Krishna to Arjun will be the main focus thereafter. After this, we will discuss the contents of the Gita summarized. Then, we will summarize the key messages from the presentation. We have made a short quiz on the topic for the devotees. And finally, we will open it for devotees' questions and realizations. So what we are discussing today is a part of chapter 2 on Sankhya Yoga, which means analytical studies. The discussions focus on dovetailing our individual consciousness with the supreme consciousness. The backdrop is that of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjun's mood is somber, and the thought of the battle, about his family members and teachers whom he is supposed to fight and kill. So Arjun is in dilemma and grief. The grief is not due to his weakness, but being a kind-hearted person, Arjun does not want to fight his own people. He gives several reasons to Krishna for not fighting. That he is feeling compassionate towards his teachers, friends, and relatives. That he feels even if he wins killing his own people, there may be loss of enjoyment. Moreover, there may be sinful reactions from such victory. Also, there will be destruction of family traditions leading to cultural ruins. And with all these thoughts, he is finally indecisive about fighting. Arjun feels that all his options are perilous. If he fights and wins, the winning is tainted by killing, causing deaths of his friends and relatives. He is filled with compassion. On the other hand, if he loses, he will die. There will be nothing to enjoy. So, should he fight at all? And lastly, if he chooses not to fight, he will have to be living by begging, which is disgraceful for a Kshatriya, and there will be sinful reactions. Thus, all options in front of Arjun appears to him as lose, lose, lose propositions. In this confusion, Arjun surrenders to Sri Krishna and asks for his instructions that will be Shreyas in the long run. To clear Arjun's illusions, Krishna first gives him Atma Gyan. He says that we are not this body, but the soul. So he counters the compassionate reasoning of Arjun. Compassion for a body which is anyway not eternal is not desirable. In Bhagavad Gita 2.13, we read, Dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantar prapti dhiras tatra namuhyati. So the first application of Atma Gyan, that we need to live like a soul and not like a material body, is Karma Kanda, or to perform one's prescribed duties. As a Kshatriya, Arjun's duty is to fight, and if he does not fight, he will incur sin. Thus, if enjoyment is Arjun's concern, then he should fight. The second application of Atma Gyan is Nishkam Karma Yoga, that is, to fight with detachment, to work with detachment. The Nishkam Karma Yoga verse, Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phal heturbhurma te sango asti akarmani, this verse says that you are detached from fruits of work. So, if you do your work with detachment, there will be no sinful reaction. With this, Krishna shows a win-win-win situation to Arjun. So with this, Krishna has been able to explain everything to Arjun. Has he? No. Arjun is still in doubt. On hearing about Nishkam Karma Yoga, Arjun asks, who is this Nishkam Karma Yogi? Will he fight? Let us see this discussion in the remaining verses of Bhagavad Gita 2.54 to 72, which is among the most practical section to apply on a day-to-day basis for us sadhakas, so that we become steady on the path of spirituality. So with this, we come to the core theme of our presentation, the query of Arjun to Krishna about the symptoms of the person whose consciousness is merged in transcendence. The query on Nishkam Karma Yogi. Arjun Uvacha Sthit-prajna ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava sthitidhi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajet kim. So there are 4 questions by Arjun. Sthit-prajna ka bhasha samadhistasya keshava. He's asking, O Keshav, what are the characteristics of the one whose consciousness is merged in transcendence? As there are symptoms of every man in their dealings, rich man has his symptoms, diseased man has his symptoms, learned man has his symptoms. Similarly, a man in transcendental consciousness will also have his specific symptoms. What would these be? Sthit pragya se ka bhasha. Sthitidhi kim prabhashet. How does such a person speak? Speech is the most important quality of a man with which he reveals himself. So how does a sthitidhi prabhashet? How does he speak? Kemasita. How does he sit? Does he remain still and restrain himself? Vrajet kim. How does he walk and engage his senses? In the rest of the discussions, let us listen to Krishna Bhagwan's response to Arjun's queries. We will go query by query on Nishkam Karma Yogi. Explanation of Krishna Bhagwan. So the first question is, Sthit-prajna se ka bhasha? What are the characteristics of Nishkam Karma Yogi? Shri Bhagwana uvacha prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamano atmanyev atmana tushtah sthit-prajna tadochyate. Shri Bhagwan Krishna says, when a man gives up all varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind, thus purified, finds satisfaction in self alone, Atmanyev Atmanah Tushta, satisfaction in self alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Sri Vaishashika Das Prabhu has also explained in one of his lectures that Krishna is so opulent that he has provided enough for everyone. There is just no scarcity. If there is enough for everyone, then we will also get our share. So we have to be satisfied, right? Tushta. With what? With what Krishna has given to us. So there should be no reason for envy for a Sthit-prajna, because he's got everything that he needed, what he wanted. So he should be satisfied. So Krishna has given to us, there should be no reason for envy. So Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that any person who is in fully Krishna consciousness renders devotional service to the Lord, has all good qualities of the great sages. Whereas a person who is not so transcendentally situated is sure to be making refuge in his own mental concoctions under Maya's influence. So under Maya's influence, we become Chanchal Pragya. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to be Sthit-prajna. So the next explanation that Krishna Bhagwan gave is Dukkheshu anudvigna manaha sukheshu vigata spriha vitaraga bhaya krodha sthidhir muni ruchate. So one who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries of or elated when there is happiness. So he's either not dissatisfied when there is misery or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is called a sage of steady mind. A Sthitadhir Muni is always in Krishna consciousness. He is called a Muni, one who's fixed in mind. Such a fully Krishna conscious person is not at all disturbed by miseries, for he accepts all miseries as mercy of Lord. We have read in Kunti Maharani's prayers in Srimad Bhagavatam, where she asks for more miseries so that she can remember Krishna. Similarly, when a Sthir Muni is happy, he gives credit to the Lord, thinking himself unworthy of happiness. So a Sthir Muni is neither disturbed in stress nor elated in happiness. He is Vitarag Bhaya Krodha. Vit means free. Free from what? Rag, that is attachment, bhaya, that is fear, and krodh, that is anger. So Krishna explains that characteristics of Nishkam Karma Yogi is that he finds satisfaction in self alone, and he's free from attachment, fear, and anger. So we go to Arjun's second question. Arjun's second question was, Sthititi Kim Prabhashet? How does he speak? So Sri Bhagavan explains, Yatra sarvatra yah sarvatra anabhisneha tat prapya shubha shubham na abhinandati na dveshti tasya pragya pratishtita. Speech is the most important quality of any man, with which he reveals himself. In the material world, one who is unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, na abhinandati na dveshti, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. There is always some upheaval in material world, which may be good or evil. One who is not agitated by such material upheavals, who is unaffected by good and evil, is fixed in Krishna consciousness. Such consciousness of Krishna situates one in perfect transcendental position, called technically by Prabhupada as Samadhi. So Arjun's third question was, Sthitidhi kim asit? How does he sit, remain still, and restrain his senses? So Bhagwan Sri Krishna explains, Yada saharte chayam kurmo angani sarvashah indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya pragya pratishtita. So Sri Krishna gives this tortoise analogy. He explains that one who is able to consciously withdraw his senses from sense objects, as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. The test of a yogi, devotee, or self-realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his own plan. The senses are like venomous serpents. The yogi must be very strong to control the serpentine senses, like a snake charmer, never allowing them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do nots, and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and do nots, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. So this verse sets the example of a tortoise. A tortoise can any moment wind up its senses and extend them again at any time for particular purposes. Similarly, the senses of a Krishna conscious person are used only for some particular purpose. What is that purpose? Service to the Lord. and it should be withdrawn otherwise. So Arjun is being taught here to use his senses for the service of the Lord, instead for his own satisfaction. So we come to the fourth question of Arjun, which was about how does a Sthitidi Brajet, how does Sthitidi walk and engage his senses? So Sri Krishna replies, Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopayasyam param drishtava nivartate. Though the embodied soul may restrict itself from sense enjoyment, like we saw in the tortoise analogy, the taste for sense object remains. So while you're withdrawing your senses from the sense attractions, the taste remains. You're forcefully withdrawing yourself. So such engagements from sense object can only be seized by developing a higher taste. Just withdrawing doesn't help. You have to seize those temptations by developing a higher taste. So how does it come? Unless one is transcendentally situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain types of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for eatables. For example, if he is asked not to have gulab jamuns or sweet balls, as Prabhupada used to refer to it, he will long for it even more. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual process like Ashtanga Yoga in the matter of yama, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, etc. is recommended not for everybody, but for less intelligent neophyte persons who have no better knowledge. But the one who has tasted the beauty of Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness no longer has a taste for material things. Therefore, artificial repression does not work. As taste for sense objects remain, if we suppress our senses, like a spring is suppressed putting weight, the taste for sense object will come back when the restrictions are removed. Like the spring resumes its original shape after the external force is removed. So restrictions are actually not required for one who is Krishna conscious. Material taste automatically ceases upon experiencing the divine. Param drishtava nivartate. One becomes like a magnet that will automatically attract only the right objects and lose taste for pale things. Shri Krishna answered the questions of Arjun on the characteristic of Sthit-prajna. But how does such one become such a person? For our senses are so strong and impetuous, they act without thinking and they forcibly carry away the mind, even of a man of discrimination who's endeavoring to control them. Prabhupada, in one of his talks, gives the analogy of this naughty boy who was revolving a while back. He gives the analogy of this naughty boy and breaking building. At slightest provocation of a mind, it when wanders, and it is referred to as a naughty boy that needs positive engagement. Else, it will be engaged in material tendency of breaking and building. He will break this, build that, and again break this. The mind must be given good engagement to stop this naughty behavior. So if the senses are not engaged in transcendental loving services of the Lord, they will certainly seek engagement in service of materialism. In the material world, everyone, that includes even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, is subject to the influence of sense objects. Lord Shiva was in deep meditation, but when Parvati agitated him for sense pleasure, he agreed for the proposal. And as a result, Kartikeya was born. Lord Brahma too got attracted to his own daughter, Vak, under the influence of Maya. However, we have heard about Haridas Thakur. What about him? When Haridas Thakur, who was a young devotee of the Lord, was similarly allured by incarnation of Maya Devi, he easily passed the test. Why? Because of his unalloyed devotion and spiritual engagement with Lord Krishna. So even if Lord Shiva and Brahma can become victims of Maya, As ordinary persons, our potency of falling down is very, very high. And how does this fall happen? ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः सङ्गस्तेषु उपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधाभिजायते क्रोधात् भवति सम्मोहः सम्मोहात् स्मृतिविभ्रम स्मृतिभ्रंशात् बुद्धिनाशो बुद्धिनाशात् प्रणश्यति. So the thing happens like this, that Maya creates desire, dhyato vishayanupunsaha, and we contemplate sense objects. So this leads to the development of attachment, sangasteshu upajayate. Now what happens with attachment? Attachment leads to desires like kama or lust, sangat sanjayate kamaha. And if lust is unfulfilled, what happens? It leads to anger. Lust unfulfilled leads to anger. Kamat krodha bhijayate. And anger leads to delusion. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. From delusion arises bewilderment of memory. Bewilderment of memory. Sammohat smriti vibhrama. Bewilderment of memory leads to loss of intelligence. Smriti bhranshad buddhi nasho. And that leads to the downfall. Buddhi nachat pranashyati. So all this makes us forget that I am not this body, but the spirit soul. That aham brahmasmi. That I am part and parcel of the supreme Brahman or the absolute whole. With this forgetfulness, intelligence is lost and we identify ourselves solely with this material world and we fall into the material pool. So what should we have done to avoid this? We should have used our intelligence to control the mind. But since mind is not controlled, senses are not controlled, therefore, we fall into the platform of sense enjoyment that we just discussed. So one who restrains his senses and fixes his consciousness upon Krishna is known as a man of steady intelligence. Vashehi yasya indriyani tasya pragya pratisthita. Thus, a Krishna consciousness is the secret of success. If we are not in Krishna conscious state of mind, then controlling the senses by artificial repression will ultimately fail. Just a moment. So Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.258 has given us the direction that by development of Krishna consciousness, one can know everything that he has to use in the service of the Lord. Those who are without knowledge of Krishna consciousness artificially try to avoid material objects. And as a result, what happens? Though they desire liberation from material bondage, they do not attain the perfect stage of renunciation. For example, for an impersonalist, the Lord becomes impersonal. He cannot eat. He is an impersonalist and he uses artificial renunciation to control himself. And in such a condition, a slight agitation of mind pulls him down again into the pool of material existence. On the other hand, a devotee knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and Krishna eats all that is offered to him in devotion. So after offering a good eatable to Krishna, the devotee takes the remnants called prasadam, becomes spiritualized, and there is no danger of a downfall. We have already discussed that one may externally control the senses by some artificial process, but unless senses are engaged in the transcendental loving services of the Lord, there is every chance of a fall. The Krishna conscious person is concerned only with the satisfaction of Krishna and nothing else. This consciousness is the causeless mercy of the Lord. So what is our job? Our job is only to engage our senses in the transcendental loving services of Lord. So Sthit-prajna is Krishna conscious. That is, his consciousness is merged with the supreme consciousness. For one thus satisfied, that is satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon established. However, the one who is not connected with the Supreme, whose mind is not in Krishna consciousness, can neither have transcendental intelligence nor steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be peace and happiness without understanding that Krishna is the only enjoyer, the supreme enjoyer of all good results of sacrifice and penance, that he is the proprietor of all universal manifestation, and that he is the real friend of all living entities. Only by this knowledge one can have real peace. Krishna consciousnness is a self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna. There is a big note of caution. As strong wind sweeps away the boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can pull away a man's intelligence. We are seeing here in the illustration that there are so many senses which are pulling us down into the whirlpool, and it can really pull us down and bring us to complete material existence and not take us away from spirituality. So unless all of our senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaged in sense gratification can deviate devotee from the path of transcendental advancement. And it is possible for all senses to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Is it true? Can all our senses be engaged in Krishna consciousness? Our thoughts every time wander, but can they actually be always engaged in Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada says, yes, it is possible. We can use our eyes to see Krishna. We can use our ears to hear Krishna Katha. We can use our nose to smell the beautiful aromatic flowers offered to the Lord. We can use our tongue to eat prasadam. And we can use our hands to offer service and legs to walk to the temple. And that is the correct technique of controlling the mind. One can curb the forces of sense gratification only by means of Krishna consciousness. But this can be done only under the guidance of a bona fide master, by becoming a sadhaka and keeping senses engaged in the services of the Lord. Desires will inevitably arise as long as material body exists. The goal is not a void mind, but the mind of a Sthit-prajna, like an ocean, so completely full and satisfied in the divine that rushing rivers of desire cannot raise its level even by an inch. A sadhak is introspective and is awake to the cultivation of self-realization. He feels transcendental pleasure in the gradual advancement of spiritual culture. He, the sadhaka, is always indifferent to materialistic happiness and distress. He goes on with his self-realization activities, undisturbed by material reactions. He is desireless. So what does becoming desireless mean? It does not mean to desire anything. It means not to desire anything for sense gratification. So desirelessness is something not to desire anything for sense gratification. Such a person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, such a person alone can attain real peace. Thus, true desirelessness is not a void. It is the desire to act solely for the satisfaction of the Supreme. To understand one's actual position as eternal servitor of Krishna, without falsely claiming this material body to be oneself, and without falsely claiming proprietorship over anything in the world, is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. One who is situated in this perfect stage knows that because Krishna is the proprietor of everything. Everything must be used for his satisfaction, for the satisfaction of Krishna. Arjun did not want to fight for his own sense satisfaction, but when he became fully Krishna conscious, he fought because Krishna wanted him to fight. For himself, there was no desire to fight, but for Krishna, the same Arjun fought to his best ability. So real desirelessness is the desire for the satisfaction of Krishna, not an artificial attempt to abolish desires. The living entity cannot be desireless or senseless, but he does have to change the quality of his desires. A materially desireless person certainly knows that everything belongs to Krishna. Ishavasam idam sarvam. He's materialistically desireless. So he knows everything belongs to Ishwar. And therefore, he does not falsely claim proprietorship over anything. This understanding of Krishna consciousness is the basic principle of real peace. That is the way of spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. So, how long does it take to attain Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada explains that one can attain Krishna consciousness within a second, or one may not attain such a state of life even after millions of births. It is only a matter of understanding and accepting the fact. Khatwanga Maharaj attained this stage of life just a few minutes before his death by surrendering to Krishna. According to the Buddhist philosophy, there is only void after completion of this material life. But Bhagavad Gita teaches us differently. Actual life begins after completion of this material life. So before ending this life, if one is fortunately becoming Krishna conscious, he at once attains the stage of Brahma Nirvana. There is no difference between the kingdom of God and the devotional service of the Lord, since both of them are on the absolute plane. To be engaged in this transcendental loving service of the Lord is to have attained the spiritual kingdom. So Brahman, just a moment, my slide went up. So Brahman is just the opposite of matter. Therefore, Brahmi Sthiti means not to be on the platform of material activities. Devotional service of the Lord is accepted in Bhagavad Gita as the liberated stage. Therefore, Brahmi Sthiti is liberation from material bondage. Achieving this stage, even at the hour of death, irrevocably liberates the soul from the cycle of birth and death, granting eternal entry into Brahma Nirvana, the kingdom of God. Srila Prabhupada gave a beautiful reference of a blissful song. Please allow me to recite it. Hari Hari Bifale Janma Gavainu Manushya Janma Paiye Radha Krishna na Bhajiya Janiye Shuniye Vishakhainu. So if we do not engage in Krishna consciousness, then we will be thrown into the cycles of birth and death, into the 8,400,000 species of life. And for millions of years, we will have to travel in the cycles of continuous birth and death. So ignoring Krishna consciousness is what Prabhupada said, Janiye Shuniye Bishikhainu, knowingly eating poison. So let us now summarize what we discussed in our presentation. We learned about our identity. Our identity is that we are not the temporary material body, but the eternal spirit soul. We also learned about our duty. Our duty is to try to be a Sthit-prajna, a Nishkam Karma Yogi. Krishna is the proprietor of everything. Ishavasam idam sarvam. Everything is his, so everything must be used for him. Every living entity is an eternal part or amsa of Krishna, and never on his level or greater. So our duty is to act without attachment to fruits of our labor. Our duty is to work for the satisfaction of Krishna. The real peace comes not from artificially destroying desires, but from redirecting desires to Krishna. As we discussed, the actual desirelessness is the desire to serve Krishna. The understanding of Krishna consciousness is the basic principle of real peace. And when Arjun became fully Krishna conscious, what did he do? He fought for Krishna's desire. So So Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur has summarized this second chapter of Bhagavad Gita as being the contents of the whole text. In Bhagavad Gita, the subject matters are Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. In the second chapter, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga have been clearly discussed, and a glimpse of Bhakti Yoga has also been given as the contents of the complete text. Thus, chapter 2 is a summary of the contents of complete Gita, Sankhya Yoga. So now that I've completed my presentation as desired by Prabhuji, let us have a small quiz for the participants. So the first question of the quiz, which is open to you all, is when karma is not satisfied, what does it lead to? And we have some multiple choices. Does it lead to smriti vibhrama, bewilderment of memory? Does it lead to krodha, anger? Or does it lead to buddhi nasha, loss of intelligence?
Answer is B, Mataji.
Krodha? That's absolutely right. When karma is not satisfied, it leads to krodha. Very nice. So we go to the next question now. What is the mechanism? What is the fundamental mechanism that allows Sthit-prajna to successfully withdraw his senses? Param drishtavane vartate, that he seizes material engagement by experiencing higher spiritual taste? Or is it ahankar, eradication of ego through voidism? Or is it nirahara sir, fasting, severe fasting and physical deprivation? Actually, I'm not able to read chat. If somebody is writing in chat, if you could kindly speak, that will be better.
It's option A.
That's right. So, by senses into higher able to successfully withdraw that fundamental which is it the flow of material is in decreases or the flow of basic knowledge including in the mind or the continuous answer and desire.
Okay, your voice is breaking. If you want to get somewhere closer to the Wi-Fi internet that you have, wherever you are. Your voice is still breaking. It's still not clear. We cannot hear you, Pragya. You can stop sharing.
Connected to my
We still cannot hear you, Pragya. Can disconnect and connect again, please. We'll give Pragya to reconnect. And in the meantime, you all can please prepare your realizations and your inquiries for Pragya. We'll give Pragya a minute to rejoin. Pragya is just joining. Pragya, are you able to unmute? Please bear the technical issues. Pragya, you can disconnect again and connect again, please. We cannot hear you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear me now?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Prabhuji, I'll share my screen again. Prabhuji, are you my...
Yeah, go ahead. You should be able to share now.
Okay, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, we had gone through the three questions where we had multiple choice. Now we have three questions which the devotees have to answer. The first question is the
Yes.
analogy, which
So
represents...
you can now do the presentation instead of sharing your whole slides, please.
Prabhuji, can you see the slide?
You can see the slides. Now you can run your slide. Yeah, now it's presentation. Go ahead.
Prabhuji, the last, so the fourth question is the analogy. Which animal represents the ability to withdraw senses?
Hare Krishna is tortoise.
Yes, very perfect. So the fifth question is the goal. What is the state of spiritual godly life called? We saw that in one of the previous slides.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, is it Brahma Sthiti?
Brahmasthiti.
Absolutely right. It is Brahmi Sthiti. And the last question, what must be given up to achieve real peace?
Hare Krishna. Activity, attachment, and fruitive labor.
Yes, that's right. So we call it, we need to give up false ego and the sense of proprietorship on our things. So with this, I come to the close of my presentation. And I thank all the devotees for participating in the presentation and this small quiz that we had. And I sincerely apologize for the technical difficulties that came in between. So the floor is now open for devotee questions and realizations.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The presentations were very beautiful. I think it was difficult to take eyes off the images. They were so captivating. All of them. So it was very good or easy to stay focused on the presentation. One point I want, if you can maybe elaborate a bit more, is like, where do we start when we hear about Sthit-prajna, who is I feel it's a very advanced stage. So I just thinking we can share something. Where do we start? Thank you.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, thank you for the question. I'll try to answer by giving my understanding. I completely agree with you that Sthita-prajna is a very difficult stage and very difficult to, uh, get anywhere close to what we should, what Krishna Bhagavan is guiding us to achieve. What I could understand from the descriptions given in chapter 2 was most essential thing is that we have to engage ourselves in devotional service. We should remain in devotee association. We should render service to Krishna. We should uh, develop this higher taste. So if this is the first step, so if we are choosing to follow the path of Krishna consciousness as the ISKCON philosophy guides us to, and if we move in that direction, trying to render service. Our mind should be focused on Krishna. We should be doing japa. So whatever activities of our day-to-day life takes us closer to Krishna, we should choose those. And whatever activities that takes us away from Krishna, we should give those away. So we have to develop what they were trying to tell us, that higher taste. So if our focus is to move towards developing higher taste, then giving up something that is tasteless will be automatically happening. So when we are engaged in that phase of our mind, mind is completely engaged in Krishna Katha. We listen to Krishna Katha, we go to temple, we do services, we remain in devotee association, then automatically we will not think about the other material distractions that takes us away down the material pool and drown us again into it. And it is very difficult. So we have to try, learn, and engage ourselves in more and more Krishna conscious activities. That is our beginning as sadhakas, that is our beginning. And for that, if we need to take shelter of a spiritual master, we must start moving in that direction, thinking about that. So all the learnings, teachings that we have had, and that this Sunday association that Prabhuji has arranged for us, it is so nice, which is helping us to discuss Krishna Katha. We are having the great fortune of being able to talk about this, even though we are so much far from deeply understanding these concepts, but at least we are able to move and talk in that direction. So that is how I understand we should initiate moving towards this Sthit-prajna phase.
Thank you, Mataji.
So Pragya answered it correctly, very nicely. Thank you for your inquiry and thank you to Pragya. I will add that Prithu Maharaj, an incarnation of the Lord, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 21, Prithu Maharaj is giving instructions to the citizens. First instruction, he says, do pure devotional service. And all citizens say exactly what Abhishek Prabhu said. What? Pure devotional service? It is not possible for us. We are so entangled in fruitive activities. Pure devotional service is not possible. What do you recommend? So Prithu Maharaj gives next step down. He says, okay, if pure devotional service is not possible, then do karma mishra bhakti. Karma mishra bhakti means that while you are doing your karma, also do bhakti where bhakti component is more. And citizens say even that is not possible. And then Prithu Maharaj comes even down. He says, well then at least do bhakti mishra karma, means you are doing your karma component is more, but still do some bhakti so that you start getting the higher taste. As Pragya correctly described, param drishtva nivartate from 2.59, that we have to develop the higher taste. Now, Prabhupada also gives a blunt response to this. Prabhupada says, what is the difficulty to remember Krishna? What is your difficulty? Prabhupada says this very bluntly. What is your difficulty? Because he gives practical examples that we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 10. Chapter 10, as well as we have discussed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, verses 8, 9, 10, where Krishna says, I am the taste of water. Well, you drink water so many times. There is rain, there is rivers, oceans. Prabhupada says, what's your difficulty in remembering Krishna? Every time you drink water, remember Krishna. Then Krishna also says, I am the light of sun. I am the light of moon. Hare Baba, 12 hours you either see the sun or you see the moon. So 24 hours you should be able to remember Krishna. And therefore Prabhupada bluntly says, what is the difficulty? Now, I'm not trying to be blunt here. Abhishek Prabhu's question is absolutely bang to the point, correct, that we are all entangled. And Pragya also correctly answered that yes, Sthita-prajna is our goal. Does not mean we become Sthita-prajna today, but we should start thinking in those lines. And Pragya also gave the correct answer that by ourselves, it's going to be very difficult to get out of this rotative entanglement. Therefore, we need the shelter of a spiritual master. Does that help further, Abhishek, everybody, Pragya?
Prabhuji, thank you so much for adding that, making the answer so rich and complete. Thank you so much.
So
And
all
thank you,
devotees,
Abhishek.
all devotees should have inquiries and or striking points.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Pragya Mother. The presentation was very beautiful. I really admire your bravery to speak up for 45 minutes so calmly with high and low voice. And your confidence was on a high level. Really, this presentation is like inspiration for me to be confident on my own presentation when it will be coming. Thank you so much. And I like your comparison for that demigod. Even the demigod come under three mode of nature, and they wanted to enjoy their senses. And the other hand, again, you give the comparison of the pure devotee of His Grace Srila Haridas Thakur, who is a deep Krishna consciousness and who has full control on his own senses. That was very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Archana Mataji. Thank you so much for listening with attention. My presentation was actually not very good, and there were so many mistakes and flaws that of all the things that technical issue came in, so I was a bit nervous. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, you have set the bar way too high. It's a really, really good presentation. And I just have one question. In the beginning when you read 2.13, you said you divided into three parts. Those three parts I just missed. I'm not sure if you remember it. You can revise those three parts.
Just let me see.
Nitya Mataji's hand is raised, Pragya.
Yeah, let
Yes,
Pragya
just a
first
moment.
answer Vimal's inquiry.
Okay, so the three things that we were discussing was that Arjun is finding everything like a lose proposition. He says that if I fight, I'll kill my own people. So he has so much compassion, so he doesn't want to fight. Then Krishna gives him Atma Gyan. He says, if compassion is your problem, who are you compassionate about? You're compassionate about these bodies. They're not bodies, they're souls. They're already dead by my provision. So you have to fight. That's your duty, you have to fight. So that compassion for this body is not correct because we are souls, we are not bodies. So that was the first answer that Krishna Bhagwan gives him. So then Arjun says that that if he fights and if he loses, then he will die and there will be nothing to enjoy. So should he fight at all? Then Krishna Bhagwan says that the first application of Atma Gyan is Karma Kanda. So you have to do your karma. So if enjoyment is your concern, then doing your karma is the actual enjoyment. You should do your karma. You should perform at Karma Kanda level. That is your duty. So then the third question that the third query that was confusing Arjun was that if he fights and if he so first was that if he wins, then he's killing people and he has compassion, he will lose. If he loses, then anyway he will die And why should he? Then that is also a loss. And the third thing was, if he runs away, if he doesn't fight, if he goes away, then it will be disgraceful for him. And he will have, it will be, as a Kshatriya, it will be disgraceful for him. So if he runs away, so that is also a loss proposition. So neither can he fight nor feel a win by winning. Neither can he feel a win by losing, nor can he feel a win by running away from the fight. So it's a lose-lose-lose proposition. For the third thing, Krishna Bhagwan tells him, talks to him about Nishkam Karma Yoga. So first he gives him Atma Gyan, that you should have compassion for, not have compassion for body. We are living at soul level. Karma Kand is your duty to fight. And the Nishkam Karma Yoga is that you should fight without any expectation. So karma nevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Don't think about the phal that you're going to get. You just do your duty. So if you do a Nishkam Karma Yoga, your work with detachment, then there will be no sinful reaction. So all those three questions of Krishna, of Arjun, of lose-lose-lose proposition, Krishna turns it into win-win-win by giving him Atma Gyan, by talking to him about Karma Kanda, and by telling him about Nishkam Karma. So thank you so much for your question. And I was just trying to reiterate what we discussed earlier. I hope that helps.
That helps. Prabhuji, if you can a little bit elaborate compassion, that is not clear. Compassion towards the people or compassion towards himself?
Yes. No. The compassion was that he's going to kill his guru, he's going to kill his cousins, he's going to kill his relatives. So that was his compassion for those people. So for that compassion, Krishna Bhagavan says that their bodies, who are you having compassion for? These bodies? They are Atma. The bodies are already dead by my arrangement. You just have to perform your duty to fight. So you are not going to kill any soul. So they are at soul level. So you don't look at them as your brother, your guru, your uncle, your niece, nephew. So you should not look at them as they're in the bodily state. You should think of Atma, and Atma is Amar. You cannot kill that Atma. So you should not have compassion. Compassion was towards the relationships, towards those bodies. So that Krishna Bhagavan is trying to say, no, don't have compassion for them in their physical forms. It is Atma. They are all Atma. The physical bodies are anyway going to go away by my arrangement. So that was the compassion and the answer that Krishna Bhagavan gave him for dealing with compassion.
Nitish Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Firstly, thank you, Mataji, for this incredible presentation. The illustrations were amazing, and through it, the way you have articulated the concepts and explained everything, it really helped with my own understanding of the Gita as well. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. My question was regarding a point made about how the demigods are under the modes of material nature. And then there was an example of Lord Shiva regarding the birth of his son Kartikeya. If I recall correctly, the circumstances regarding the birth of Kartikeya was such that there was this Asura named Tarakasura who was terrorizing everyone. And he was given a boon by Lord Brahma that only the son of Lord Shiva can kill that demon. Um, and thus the gods had made a plan to disrupt Shiva's meditation so that Shiva can eventually give birth to Kartikeya. So my first question is, can that be considered as material entanglement or just a necessity to save the world? That's my first question. And second question was, there was also this example that we know where Lord Shiva was being enticed to give into lust by Kamdev, and Kamdev had thrown an arrow tipped with flowers to ignite lust in Lord Shiva, but then Lord Shiva opened his third eye and then set Kamdev and burned him into ashes. So, in that example, is Lord Shiva still under the mode of lust or not? So, can you please explain that concept? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your questions. And I really am thankful to Prabhuji for giving this opportunity and for Krishna Bhagavan to have given us with so much less knowledge, being able to explain something which is so technical and so nuanced. So actually, I'm very happy that you asked this question, and I thank you for that. Actually, when Prabhupada was talking about giving these examples in one of the lectures, then one of the devotee who was listening asked the same question. So what Prabhupada says, that don't look at what what we are trying to say by what happened to Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma is that even those, so if they are in deep devotion and they are doing yoga and they are meditating, and even with the arrangement of gods, if they want that, they want a child from the union of Shiva and Parvati who will be able to fight that asura. Even if that was the arrangement, the thing was that they were able to distract him and pull him into a material relationship. It was material because he was in uh, in yoga, so they could break that by allowing Parvati to entice him or to break. So basically his tapa was also broken. So what Prabhupada said, that these examples are to say that even if demigods are vulnerable, then we as ordinary humans and as beginners of in the devotee path, it is so easy for us to get distracted. So the whole intention of giving this example was to tell us that you have to remain very firmly focused on Krishna consciousness, and our mind should be focused in bhakti. Else, it is very easy to fall down. So for Shiv Bhagwan, he was to give Kartikeya, birth to Kartikeya through union with Parvati Bhagwan. So basically, that example is just to show us that if uh, demigods can also be, lured into something, then as humans, it is very easy for us to get lured. So we have to remain very firm. The whole thing is that our focus on Krishna consciousness has to be very strong, and our devotee association is something very important, because if unless we discuss these things and talk to each other and remain in this kind of mode, we will, everything will, like we saw that illustration, that something, those hands are coming and pulling us down into that whirlpool. It's very easy. We will just lose and go back. Whatever small progression we do, slightest of distraction, the first thing that we give up if there is some pressure at home or tension at work or something is our sadhana. So that has to, we have to grow out from that, and we have to remain focused in sadhana and in our devotional service. That is what is my understanding. Prabhuji, if you want to add something.
So thank you, Pragya. You are bang to the point, correct, in responding to Pratyush, and thank you for preparing quite well and answering from what Prabhupada has said. So this is the perfect way to answer. So it is absolutely correct that these examples of Krishna using pure devotees are meant to teach us that Maya is very, very strong. We have to always stay humble. We have to always stay on the boat of Krishna consciousness. That's what the examples are meant for. That even exalted personalities can get distracted, as very appropriately responded by Pragya. So who are we? Therefore, from these examples, we have to develop humility. Pratyush, does that help you?
Yes, understood, Prabhuji. Thank you. And thank you again, Mataji, for the amazing presentation and for answering my question clearly. Thank you.
Nitya?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Pragya Mataji. It was a beautiful presentation. The illustrations were very captivating. And chapter 2 is a very hard chapter to summarize. That's the way I have always looked at it. I've always never taken up chapter 2 presentation, but you did an amazing job. I wanted to just share a few realizations. I've heard Sthit-prajna topics so many times. I've written it down. I think I presented it myself one time, but this was so spot on. The take-home point is Sthit-prajna is actually complete and full Krishna consciousness. Thank you for driving that point. Two is that we need to understand that desirelessness is not us artificially curbing all our desires, but to desire everything for Lord Krishna. You made that sound simple. I think it's a start, it's a beginning for all of us. Third is the realization we live our life in the Ishavasha principle. Lord is our proprietor, He's our protector and friend. So we dovetail all our activities in Krishna consciousness. As we say, bhakti is the process and bhakti is the goal. Krishna consciousness is the beginning and Krishna consciousness is our goal. So thank you so much. It was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As Prabhuji says, it's all glories to Prabhupada. All glories to all of you for asking these questions to me. Thank you so much.
Mataji, it was an excellent presentation. You are full of spiritual knowledge, Mataji. Very great. Thank you.
So much. All glories to Prabhuji to give us such opportunities.
So thank you, everybody. So Pragya has also learned the proper etiquette for responding to audience, that passing on the glories to Srila Prabhupada and to Krishna. And also responding to the devotees that thank you for listening with rapt attention. So as Pragya has learned everything properly from what we have been discussing, you all have also learned it properly. And I will give a little feedback to Pragya, and in the process for all of you for subsequent presentations. So Pragya definitely was most appropriate in starting with invocation prayers, that by academic knowledge is not possible. Only by seeking blessings and permissions is how Vedic knowledge is revealed to us. Now I'll put on a different hat in giving my feedback, that I personally, I was lost from, say, slide number 3 onwards, because I'm not interested in what you're talking about. I don't have taste. So I was literally doing my own things from slide number 3 onwards. I'm not interested in your Sanskrit recitations. So the solution for all of the subsequent presenters is that try to engage devotees throughout your presentation instead of the quiz at the end. Understand that audience do not have spiritual taste. So to keep your audience engaged, yes, the slides were very nice, definitely was catching, but try to have your quiz built in throughout the presentations, and not just quiz, you can have them reading something so that they are engaged. So Pragya definitely answered the devotee inquiries very, very nicely. She prepared quite nicely. So thank you for your detailed presentation and preparing so very well on this difficult subject matter. So Pragya has really set the bar very high for all the subsequent presenters, as Vimal Prabhu rightly pointed out. Thank you, Pragya, and thank you all for listening with rapt attention and participating throughout. Hare Krishna. Pragya.
So please forgive me for my shortcomings, weaknesses, and mistakes. And my Danvat Pranam to all the devotees. Hare Krishna. And Prabhuji, I noted this thing that I also thought that 45 minutes, there were certain stretches which were very long. So I was also thinking that, but that people may lose connect. But I wanted to say all the things that I thought I should say. So maybe there needs to be a balance. Your classes are so long, but still so interesting. So a lot to learn from you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, everybody.
All glories are always for Guru Maharaj. All glories are always for Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. We'll connect next week with Chandan Prabhu doing his presentation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare